Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Protoss played with the new multiplayer balance patch on brand new StarCraft maps. We're in the top right hand corner of, I believe this map is called Ley Lines? I really need to learn the map names. Playing with the blue Zerg pieces, we have none other than Rogue and his opponent down in the bottom left with the red Protoss pieces. We haven't actually seen him play on the new patch just yet, so I'm excited to find out exactly what he's gonna be cooking up, because usually this man is ridiculously good at coming up with new builds. We have none other than hero. Highest ranked Protoss, of course, from South Korea, and it turns out I was right. It's called Ley Lines. All right, I'm excited. Got myself a little bit of coffee. I've got myself, well, a lot of StarCraft action. I'm actually very excited because I just got a replay pack sent over from the Olimo League. Now, if you've been watching StarCraft 2 for some time, you may remember the Olimo League. This is actually the Olimo League weekly number 229. That's where this series is from, because they decided to come back. They used to run tournaments for years and years and years, and well, apparently ever since the EPT weekly dropped, maybe at some point it'll come back, I don't know. But anyways, ever since that dropped, a lot of new weeklies have popped up. I think in the past I kind of felt like there was a little bit too much overlap and sign up. Well, it wasn't once what it used to be, but now apparently they are back. And interestingly enough, they've been doing a lot of content on the Korean server, on another platform, not on Twitch, but on another streaming platform. Basically, there's been a lot of live streaming drama over in Korea in general, and they have a new platform now. Supposedly, I didn't actually see this myself, but supposedly, this tournament, this weekly, had a total amount of live viewers, like a concurrent amount of live viewers of over 20,000, which is absurdly high for StarCraft 2. When it comes to live viewer counts, 20,000, I mean, maybe that's not impressive for like a Counter-Strike or a League of Legends or a Dota, but 20,000 live viewers for a couple $100 weekly tournament, I mean, that is certainly very promising. For a returning cup, so it's nice to see this much excitement still for StarCraft 2 over on the Korean end of things as well. Now, they were nice enough, the Olimo League folks, they were nice enough to, when I requested it, I was like, please, sir, can I have some replays? They were nice enough to send me the replay pack within like 5 minutes. So shout out to Crank for, yeah, getting me these games, because I've got loads of cool series to go ahead and cast over the next week or so. Now, it's going to be a Stargate opener here for Mr. Hero. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Rogue, well, just opening up a good old triple hench. So as of me casting this, I'm uploading this video tomorrow, but as of me casting this series is like 2 days old. Something like that. So very recent. It should give us a really nice update as to what the players currently think of the new patch. Interestingly enough, hero not going for an early game sentry. We've been seeing a lot of hallucination scouting with that new Nexus ability. Apparently, hero not going for that here. He's also not going to go for any additional energy on the Oracle, because instead we're going for a Void Ray first, using up all of the Nexus ability, it seems, on just, well, chrono boosting workers. Alright, very nice to see. There is also, by the way, what seems to be a bit of an influx in new viewers. So in case you're new, hello, first off, thank you for tuning in. But a couple days ago, StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1, the campaigns that is, they went onto the Xbox Game Pass, which is this subscription service from Microsoft. And ever since they picked up Blizzard some time ago, it's now part of Microsoft, or it's under the Microsoft umbrella. They're now also apparently publishing some of the Blizzard games onto the Xbox Game Pass, meaning that suddenly a whole lot of people that may be interested in games and that have heard of StarCraft in the past, well, they're now also checking out StarCraft for the very first time. So if you're one of those people and you stumbled upon this, welcome. Hero is going for a very uncommon strat. He is rushing out 2-base double Stargate fleet beacon. That opens up the tech path for 2 things. Well, really 3 things. First off, we have the carrier. That is what we see a lot. At least in Diamond League and below. Very common. Not very popular, though, at the pro level. Could be a Tempest build, but now that I'm saying all of this out loud, this could also be for a pretty quick Mama ship, if that's what he aims to get. I don't think he's going to be getting that anytime soon because of the second Stargate. Rogue is going to try and scout exactly what's happening, but I don't believe he's going to get the vision. Nope, especially not with that Void Ray coming back home. So this is a Tempest rush. hero rushing out units that, well, have been changed a little bit, but not all that much. It looks like he also wants to go for the forward expansion with the rich Vespian gas geyser. This one is a rich Vespian gas with a bit of a trick. So you can only mine this gas after you mine out this skinny mineral field. So it's 150 minerals. That means it's 30 trips for a probe to go back and forth. And after that mineral field has been mined out, then you can take the gas. This is a new feature that we have never seen before on a StarCraft 2 map. It means that eventually you're going to get a nice little boost. But early on, you will actually have nothing as far as gas income from this base goes. So kind of a curious design. Apparently, yeah, hero is feeling ambitious enough to go ahead and give it a shot. Some people consider the rich gas geysers to be a little bit too overpowered. And I guess this is a nerf to rich gas geysers. But at the very least, it's going to create a little bit more strategic variety. Alright, so the Tempests are out. But hero is saving them up. Now, when you get up to 5 Tempest, you can one-shot practically everything. There are some units that can survive 5 shots. But the vast majority of stuff, at the very least from Zerg right now, will die to 5 hits. So we'll have to keep an eye out on exactly when hero decides to reveal them. It looks like they're going in already, whereas these other two are going to be joining in the fray in a moment. Tectonic Destabilizers is an upgrade for the Tempest to deal double damage to structures, and this will be the first time that Rogue figures this out. Rogue cancels the infestation pit that he was building and builds a spire instead. Keep in mind that queens are now 25 minerals more expensive on the new patch, so they will just simply not have as many of them. And I wonder if that's the reason why hero is going for this build. This is in general not very popular. I wonder if he should have saved it, man. I kind of feel like he should have saved until he had 5 Tempest out, so he can just pick off those queens one at a time. Because right now with some good transfusions, yeah, these Tempests aren't really going to do anything until Tempest number 4 and 5 show up in the first place. Although, I guess they've gotten rid of some of the energy. You do want to target fire down each individual queen, though, with some nice... Okay, target firing with the transfuse. Apparently, you might be able to still keep some of them alive for a little bit longer. Ultimately, this is Rogue trying to buy time until the Spire comes out. So he's got 70 workers. There's also a Roach counterattack, although Void Rays have been building here for a little bit. Triple Void Ray against these armored units is going to be fine. Everything else on the other side of the map, though, is in some trouble, but this is buying an awful lot of time, and the clock is ticking. Rogue is already at 70 drones. He's got a lot of money saved up. He will be planning. Must be. Hello, Tempest. Tempest, wake up. Wake up! Micro your Tempest and grab a brush and make up. I don't know. I gotta work on the lyrics of that song. He loses one of them because he was sleeping on the job. But anyways, Corruptors are coming. Now, hero knows that Corruptors are really the only viable answer against Tempest these days. So he's already been pumping out Void Rays, and he's going Blink as well. Void Rays and Blink Stalkers that is, they're amazing against Corruptors. So far though, I don't know if he's really gotten the value yet. I feel like he needs to kill one of these bases. And even though this has been relatively poorly managed by hero, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement. He might still be able to get the kill on the hatchery if he decides to right-click it down. I'm assuming we're gonna... Oh my god. Dude, the split shots hurt me. Now we're gonna just try and risk it on the base? Oh, hero! That was dirty, ugly, disgusting, and it didn't even work. I feel like he had all the tools at his disposal to make that work, though, and then he just kind of didn't. Yeah. Now, obviously, this is a very uncommon strategy from Protoss. I think what he should have done is saved up until he had 5 Tempest. Go after the queens one at a time. Zerg will be very unlikely to have, for example, a Spire building at that stage in the game anyways. So the earliest moment at which Zerg would start up a Spire would be when you actually see the Tempests. So the timing on the Corruptors would be essentially identical. I mean, now they're earlier because he saw the Tempest earlier, but I think if hero could have saved it up, he could have killed all the queens, and he certainly would have been able to finish off the hatchery too. In the end now, we killed 10 queens, which is kind of a lot, I guess, but I don't think it quite justifies this opener. And it puts hero into this all-in-y position. Interestingly enough, these 4th bases, actually, the 4th base for the Zerg and then that 3rd base for hero, these forward expansions are really close to each other. I didn't quite yet realize how fast you can get to the other side of the map. Proxy hatchery right now, or proxy gateway rather, in the middle of the map. We have a lot of stalkers coming, but I like what Rogue is doing here a whole lot better. Rogue seems to be managing this pretty much perfectly. He's decided to risk it and go into a hive together with a lurker then. I feel like if you still had 5 Tempests here, right? Like, imagine if Tempests are still roaming the map at this point. That would be amazing. They could constantly pick stuff off. Okay, well, the hatchery will get killed. Hero! 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 God, stop playing with my feelings. I didn't even know I had feelings. Yeah. The hatchery still lives. Now, this is horrible. This is about as bad, I think, as this game could have gone for Hero. I don't think it could have gone much worse. Strategically, it's good, but the execution, yeah, is leaving something to be desired for, and that is now giving Rogue a major advantage. I would have liked to see what this looked like if the plan actually went according to, well, plan. If it went according to what he had planned here in the first place. But right now, I mean, if he still pushes his back, I'm gonna lose my mind. Well, those Hydras are awfully exposed. He did not quite, oh my god, Hero. If you actually win this game, like, it's been so bad, but then if you look at the actual situation, it's not the end of the world. It's that weird spot again where Zerg has so much supply caught up in flying units that don't do anything. We need to use that peeing ability, right? Now, it's currently on cooldown. The caustic spray was used on the 3rd Nexus, so Protoss doesn't have that base anymore. But as soon as that ability, like, it's like a 45-second cooldown, yeah, he's just gonna try and pop these Nexi one at a time, essentially forcing Hero to go for an all-in. Oh my god, those queens, they've been buying so much time. The hatchery lives again. This is the best cared for hatchery that I've seen in my life. In the meantime, though, another Nexus falls, and that means that all of those probes are gonna have to bring money back towards the main base, and I think those couple of lurkers, they're probably going to save the day. Because I don't really see what Hero can do about them. There's about nothing that he can really do. I mean, we can fight this, but he doesn't have detection. So there's no way he's really going to be able to kill the lurkers and dive deeper onto creep. The fact that this is still relatively close, though... Okay, it is a GG in the end. But the fact that this was still relatively close just shows you how strong this Protoss strategy actually is. Next up, we find ourselves on Whispers of Gold. I really liked that previous game, but I'm also a little bit concerned. Now, I know I'm at the risk of being called a Zerg apologist or a Zerg biased commentator. I've been called that many times before in the past. I think I'm pretty objective these days. It used to be worse when I played a ton of games. I will be honest, yeah, I have been a little bit Zerg biased in the past, but I think these days I have a very good understanding of the game, and I think I can be mostly impartial. Anyways, the fact that that previous game was as terribly executed by Hero, and then still almost turned out to be a win, it has me a little concerned. Rogue didn't really make any major errors. He couldn't scout. He tried to scout, but he couldn't really figure out what the opponent was going for. Technically, I guess he could have gone for Overlord speed, and he would have been able to scout it. But if he goes Overlord speed, it means that he's going to have even less queens. And against a lot of more common follow-ups from Protoss, like say like a, I don't know, like a regular Blink Stalker follow-up, something like Overlord speed early really, yeah, is the nail in the coffin. Because yes, you can scout, but you're still gonna lose because you just have invested too much money into things that aren't queens. So it's a little too expensive for that sort of thing. So the fact that Rogue tried to scout, responded to it pretty much in the best possible way, right? He bought a lot of time. He made those spore crawlers. He moved them to the front instantly. He started up additional queens. He cut drones. He already was at 70-something workers when the Tempest came in. The fact that he responded as perfectly as he did, and the fact that Hero miscontrolled that pretty badly, honestly, and it was still that close of a game. It was a Zerg win in the end, but I'm wondering if maybe some of the Protoss buffs, and I know I've been vocal for giving Protoss some buffs, but I wonder if some of them need to be reverted just a tad. We'll see. Obviously, this is still the PTR. It's still the public test realm. And it means, of course, that some of these changes, well, are not final. That previous game, though, was due mostly to the queen nerf, right? So the queen being 25 minerals more expensive, I honestly don't think that's going to change. I don't believe that's really going to make any real... Yeah, that's really... It's funny, because Zerg has so much power leaning into the queens, right? That, like, nerfing the queen directly, I understand that it's too good of a unit, but at the same time, there's also not really a good alternative. In my mind, it's kind of like nerfing, like, the Marine, right? Like, yes, I think everybody would agree that the Marine is a little overpowered, but it's also the absolute backbone of everything Terran, and it's the same for Zerg. Like, yes, the Queen is the most overpowered unit for Zerg, but there's also nothing really as an alternative, right? Like buffing, yeah, the Spore Crawler, maybe it does something, but I don't think it really changes all too much. Anyways, it's an interesting discussion. So the reason, by the way, why originally there was a Spine Crawler buff, so basically in order to give Zerg an alternative, right? So you make the Queen more expensive, what does Zerg get in return? Well, what they got in return was a Spore Crawler buff, a Spine Crawler buff, and the Hatchery being 25 minerals cheaper. So it makes that Queen, yeah, relatively playable. Now, the reason why they reverted the Spine Crawler buff is because apparently proxy hatcheries were a little bit too strong during the first week of the first iteration of the PTR. Now, from what I understand, Protoss players already figured out a way to deal with the upgraded Spine Crawler. So proxy hatchery into Spine Crawler cheeses apparently were the rage on the ladder. They already figured out how to counter it, and even though that is the case, they still decided to revert that nerf. I wonder if maybe they could maybe putting something like that back in is reasonable. But anyways, enough of that. Adepts going to the main base. This has been a Stargate opener. Oracles are going in. We have a couple of them over at the third base right now, although one of them is flying into the natural expansion instead. Adepts are going down. Okay. Not the cleanest control there, but 15 Zerglings forced out is still obviously really quite good for 3 Adepts. It just means that taking the third base becomes a lot harder here for hero. He's gonna try and sneak it out. But if there are enough Zerglings out, Zerg can definitely get the cancel on that. Oh, nice around here. A little bit of sloppiness from hero. Okay, maximum value for those links. He did lose 4 drones though in the meantime at home, which is nothing all too terrible. But considering Rogue was forced to make those Zerglings earlier, he didn't quite get the cancel on the third, but he still got some value on those units here in the end. I mean, to be fair, I have been concerned in the past as to what Zerg will look like after a couple of nerfs, and then we look at Serral, and yeah, everybody seems to be struggling, and Serral's like, hold my beer, I got this, and Serral just destroys the competition again. I haven't yet seen Serral play on the new patch. I think everybody is sort of waiting to really... Like, if Serral is struggling, then we know that maybe there might have to be a bit of a change. Anyways. That's a lot of oracles, by the way. The norm is to make 2 to 3 Oh, no! Hero! Okay. He's also mispositioned over here over at the third base. This is what the community refers to as a Protoss moment. That is, it happens a lot to Protoss players in particular. Now, obviously the reason is that Protoss has like 4 units in the early game. And all of them need to be controlled pretty much perfectly, and losing any of them is painful. Well, we're still zapping away at a couple of those units. 10 drones in total, but 2 oracles going down is exceptionally painful. In the past, whenever queens would, whenever Protoss would lose 2 oracles like this, a queen timing attack with a queen march, right, and like Roach Ravager or like a Link Flood on the back of it, or maybe a Link Bane, but any sort of queen attack would become incredibly hard to deal with. Meaning that, like, if Protoss messed up their early game control, and then lose an oracle or 2, nice one, they would immediately die to a queen march. So it forced Protoss to play relatively cautiously, but now I guess that the queen is slightly more expensive. Any sort of queen attack is going to be much less likely. Yeah, we actually have less queens produced in this game right here by Rogue. He is going +1 melee, And he is making a lot of links right now together with that roach speed, so maybe he will go for something along those lines. His economy is decent. But it doesn't seem like Zerg is feeling confident in punishing this this early game from Protoss all too much. It's a bit of a shame. Rogue trying to see if there's any mistakes over here. Bit of a skill check. hero though on point. Although he's engaging with the probes for some reason. We don't want to engage that too long. Okay. Nice micro there in the end. Saves the majority of it. Burrow coming up here nice and early for Rogue. Okay. I'm curious to see how Rogue would play a long game. I'm hoping we're going to see a long game in this series. Because in the majority of the games that I've seen in this particular matchup so far, Zergs kind of feel compelled to go for an all-in early on. Like, they kind of feel like they have to commit to a mid-game timing, because late game seems to be quite difficult right now. Now, Rogue is a phenomenal late-game player, and he is going to engage over here and then also run Banelinks over at the opponent's third base. Yeah. And we can buff Protoss all we want, but if you make mistakes like that continuously, like, you know, like any buff is not going to change that, right? You're not really supposed to be losing that many workers here. Infestation pit coming up. That will be for a hive tech here, I'm sure, for Rogue. +2 melee on the production tab as well. Rogue is going to push this all the way back. I've actually been very impressed by Rogue lately. He's playing some good StarCraft. I feel like this this matchup doesn't suit him as well as Zerg versus Terran. Like, his ZVT has been really fun with that mass overseer. He's trying to find his ways, but keep in mind that Rogue is really only like maybe like 3-4 months or so out of the military at this point, if I recall correctly. He finished his military service in June. It's been a relatively short amount of time. That's 3 months, right? June? StarCraft moment. This game is too old. Anyways, he's been really doing a great job, though. Once more, competing against the best of the best. Storm is coming up on the back of this. Second robo facility as well here for hero. Actually, I say that. No, that's the first robo facility. Can he keep this fourth nexus alive? The Roach Ravager is thinking about diving on top of it. I think there's enough HP on that. Storm is now only a couple seconds away from finishing, so it's time to storm. There you go. Very nice. Good control by hero. I feel like hero in those clutch situations is way better. Like, we see hero make a lot of silly mistakes all the time, where he all army hotkeys and his oracles just kind of fly from the top left-hand corner through all of the Zerg bases, and you're like, hero, 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 what are you doing? But then when he's in a clutch situation and he suddenly has to dig deep, his stalker control is the best in the world. +1 air weapons coming up. Fleet beacon once more coming up. Okay, so I'm getting my wish, it looks like, because hero is ready to chill for a little while. Economies at this point are pretty much dead even. I don't see Rogue moving across the map anytime soon. He doesn't really have the opportunity to do a big attack here. Like, maybe the Banelings can give it a shot. Ooh, High Templar water balloons, dude. OP, OP. Anyways, we see some of those, yeah, we see some of those plays here that basically indicate that this is going to go the distance. So I'm very curious to see what late game looks like. So what I've noticed so far, couple things. First off, the Mama ship is no longer abductable. The Mama ship is 100 minerals and 100 gas more expensive, and it's notably better. In all of the history of StarCraft 2, at least since the introduction of the Viper, Zerg would usually go immediately into a bunch of Vipers and try to abduct that unit. Maybe he's not even going to get the Mothership, which would be blowing my mind. He's going to go Tempest production for now. I feel like the Mothership is an absolute no-brainer, as Rogue is going to try again, but this time around, perfect control here by hero. I'm not sure exactly what the mothership... So it's a weird unit right now. So in my mind, the mothership is very mediocre. It doesn't really deal that much damage. It doesn't really, you know, hurt the Zerg player that much. But since Zerg doesn't really have any other anti-air that's good, other than the Corruptor, for 400 minerals and 400 gas, since the unit can't be ignored, Zerg pretty much is... Yeah, they need to go into a Spire. I almost wonder if it's better to, like, not make any other Stargate unit other than the Mama ship. Just make, like, 1 or 2 Tempests, make the Mothership, and then force out Mass Corruptor. Because Zerg doesn't really have an alternative. The other anti-air options for Zerg are the Hydralisk, but that's it. Like, a Hydra is not gonna kill the Mama ship as long as it's reasonably... Like, since it can't be abducted, it can't really be neuraled, right? Like, you can't really do anything. You need to go Corruptors, and for 400 minerals, 400 gas, you can force out, at the bare minimum, like 10 Corruptors. And 10 Corruptors is a hell of a lot more expensive than 400. Other alternatives for Zerg would be Spore Crawlers, Mutalisks, but that's about it. Yeah. Zerg can also technically go Hydra Microbial Shroud, but Microbial Shroud, like, it's not so much the damage from the air that matters. It's very much so the damage from the ground. And since Microbial Shroud only reduces... There it is. Microbial Shroud only reduces the damage taken from air to ground, and it's not really the damage of the carrier or the Tempest or the Mothership that's the issue. It's the damage from the, for example, Psionic Storm. I don't really know. Let's see though. Maybe Rogue has got something, right? I mean, we kind of assumed that Terran versus Zerg late game in the previous patch was horrible for Zerg, and it seemed to be pretty bad for a couple months. But then Rogue figured out a way to do it, so maybe he can do it again? Ooh. Okay, we could have done another storm and kept some of those units alive, but a little bit of an overextension here by hero. Ultimately, though, this is opening up some more supply for some more good stuff. I feel like we need to continue the Stargate production, but... Ultra Cavern coming up here for Rogue. Keep in mind that Ultra's now in the new patch, as we have some good storms once more. Archons, though, move to the front this time around to protect against those Banelings. Nicely done. Keep in mind that Ultras in their new patch can now push around their friends, and they can actually get into the combat a little bit quicker, which is a big improvement. There she is. Where is she? There she is. At this point, there is nothing other than 5 Corruptors that will really be able to shoot up. Rogue hasn't yet seen the Mama ship, so he decides to dive deep. Queens are transfusing this. I guess Queens are another anti-air option, but not really a great one. Here's the Mothership, though, activating all of its cloaking, and wow. Okay, well, I guess that's one way to deal with it. Rogue sees the Mothership and instantly taps out. That's... that's not a good sign. Now, that looked a little bit like... It looked a little bit like a rage quit. But I don't think it was. You need to be able to make at least like 12 Corruptors all in one go. And Rogue simply didn't have the money there. So what are you gonna do? Hero was certainly gonna carve a path straight through the creep and kill everything. Now maybe the issue is not so much in the Mothership. I kind of like the idea of the Mothership being strong, right? Like, it's a hero unit. It's always been something that's, well, out there, but it's been a bit of a meme, right? It's literally a 400 meme. I wouldn't mind the buff to the Mothership if there was an alternative way of dealing with it for Zerg. And at this point, I just don't see anything. Queens get nerfed, so that's an anti-air option, but it's not great. Hydras get slightly buffed, but the new dash ability, the change to Microbial Shroud, isn't gonna make it any better. Really, your only option would be Corruptors. Mutas are trash. So it's... One thing you can do, I guess, as Zerg, is maybe make like 5 or 6 Overseers and just constantly get detection and maybe ignore the Mothership some of the time? I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe if like the attack priority of the Mothership was low, So the Corruptors would automatically kill everything else before they would get to killing the mothership, or the Hydras would attack everything else before killing the mothership. It's really the... yeah, it's interesting. So, it's 400 minerals, 400 gas, but it's forcing out like 1,500 minerals and then like 1,500 gas worth of units as well, right? So, even though it's a bit of a meme, I haven't yet seen anybody deal with that Skytle's army in the new patch. Like, I've not seen a single win for Zerg from that point of view, but we'll see. There's gotta be something out there. I think we all have to set our sights to Finland, and we have to wait until the GOAT shows us what is supposed to be done there. Maybe if the Corruptors could mutate into Devourers or something, right? Like, one of the issues you run into as Zerg is that the late game options, all tier 3 options, are anti-ground. Whereas pretty much all the actual tier 3 armies in the game are air. So Lurkers are great, but anti-ground. Corruptors, I mean, I guess they're kind of a late game unit, but doesn't really count. Brute Lords, anti-ground. Ultras, anti-ground. And none of those units are all too useful there. I guess you can maybe go Ultra Corruptor. I would like to maybe see like... I honestly don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot. If you have a suggestion, feel free to let me know. But it seems like your best play for Zerg right now is to win in the mid game or die trying. It's gonna be a similar build here once again for hero. I mean, to be fair, even if Protoss is overtuned... Ooh, nicely done. Even if it is a little bit overtuned, I would like to have a Protoss winner out there for a premier tournament, right? Like, that would be kind of sick. The thing is, though, it's a very significant buff for Protoss versus Zerg, but the Mama ship is still horrid against Terran. If maybe it was also, you know... Okay, maybe horrid is a bit of a strong word, but it's still very mediocre. It feels a little bit like with this change, if this patch actually goes live onto the live version of the game as it is, with this change, I've got a feeling that Protoss and Zerg are gonna switch sides in tournament brackets. Terran will probably still be king. Only just barely. Mostly because Clem is just insane. Yeah, I think I don't really see any Protoss other than Max Specs though win against Clem when Clem is playing well. So we'll probably still win. We'll probably still have Clem win every tournament. Now I do know that Home Story Cup is coming up at the end of the month. I would imagine Cyril is going to be playing that. He did not show up to the previous one, but that's because he was doing his military service. And that's, I think, like maybe like a $5,000 tournament. In the past, it's been like $10,000 at some point. But it wasn't, I guess, worth his time to request time away from the military. Anyways, I would imagine Cyril is going to be playing there. And I would also imagine that that tournament is going to be played with this balance patch. Or at the very least, you know, assuming it's going to go live within the next month. Yeah, we'll have to see. I would imagine we're going to see him play within the next couple weeks. Blink follow-up here from Hero. I actually expected that Protoss early games would change a lot more. And I think there are some subtle differences with that energy ability. We may very well have seen Hero do it a bunch of times on those oracles of his. But overall, it seems like Protoss early game, despite the loss to shield battery overcharge, is relatively unchanged. It was ambitious, but this is not a great start here for Hero at all. He needs to get something else done with this. Rogue has essentially been unhindered, although the timing of that third Nexus here does allow Hero a lot of economy of his own too. And it looks like he's once more looking for the forward expansion. Much as like what we saw on Ley Lines, he decides to go for the forward base. This is not one with a rich gas, but instead one with a rich mineral line. I wonder if he's gonna adjust his strategy because of that as well. Could go more mineral heavy. Okay. Infestation pit coming up. Double upgrades here for Rogue researching too. So this is again a very damage-focused army. It looks like we're gonna just go Ravager Ling Bane, Roach Ravager Ling Bane with some Queens for support. Those Zerglings having +1 melee is really nice when it comes to fighting Stalkers. This is an interaction that we've seen many times before. If hero can actually kill the base, that would be huge. I feel like it's gonna be tough for him to achieve though. But his economy is already nice. There is in the meantime a Zergling run by. Looks like the Adepts were sleeping on the job, not in the right position. And that means that this base may be in some trouble. Never mind. Enough Stalkers get warped in. The Adepts bought enough time. So this should be fine. There's the Hive coming. What are we gonna do with the Hive, Rogue? We don't have a Hydralisk in. We don't have a Spire. I guess this could just be for Vipers? If he goes Ultra Cavern, but he's not upgrading armor, those Ultras are gonna melt. We already have Immortals coming up. Okay, Rogue is cooking up something, though. I don't yet know what the Hive is for. I would have gotten... I would have guessed that this would be for Ultras if he decided to go armor upgrades here, but... To be fair, I have complained about Protoss only getting those fringe buffs many times, right? Where they reduce something of the core strength of Protoss, but they're like, here, have a couple of fringe buffs. It feels like with this patch, it's kind of the same, but then for Zerg, right? It's like, yeah, we nerf some of your core stuff, but have some extra damage on a Spore Crawler, right? Like, take the 25 mineral reduction. You get a new ability on the Hydralisk, which is kind of like a nice change, but it doesn't seem to be too impactful. It's the same for like the Microbial Shroud. Obviously, everything combined. Yeah, this is Ultras. So Rogue is going like 9-minute Ultras here. 9-minute Ultras against the Protoss who just fired up a Fleet Beacon and a Stargate. Protoss is definitely the one that got some core buffs this time around. Zerg is the one with the fringe changes. The site changes. Let's see. I think you rush out the mothership. There's really no reason not to. Hero is once more going double Stargate. Triple Stargate even. Like, is there a reason not to make the mothership at this stage in the game? I guess maybe the upfront cost is too expensive, but I feel like the third Stargate is a bit much. We could have stopped that. We could have skipped that. Like, we've had money. He still has money. Yeah, there we go. Mama ship starts up. 5 Ultras are coming, though, together with Chitinous Plating. After the +1 missile was done, Rogue decided to go into +1 armor instead. Ultras greatly benefit from armor upgrades. I feel like the +1 missile upgrade for the Roaches and the Ravagers is a complete waste here from Rogue. Maybe if Protoss went for an all-in or something on 3 bases, he could have held it with +1 missile. Would be hard to do with melee, but... Spire on the back of this? Okay. So I think Rogue wants to go Corruptor Ultra or something along those lines. Like Corruptor Ultra Zergling? We should definitely... Oh, we have Adrenal Glands. Okay. I was going to say, we definitely want to get Adrenal. Okay. Mama's coming out soon! Mama! Storm? There we go. Ultra has shown up. Oh my god, the Ultra is derping still! Ultra, you were promised to be changed. You said you were different. Oh, yeah. They're still large. There were already Immortals waiting. So basically what Rogue was doing here was crossing his fingers and hoping there were no Robo units. That was the build. If there were no Immortals, those Ultras could have done a lot. But since there are Immortals, I think the Ultras are mostly just gonna die. They still just get stuck on one another, which is kind of ironic. Like, they can now push every other unit aside, but they get stuck on the friends. It's, yeah. Anyways. Is this good enough? I mean, with transfusions, those Queens are gonna keep the Ultras alive. I think this may have been an overextension right here for hero, but there she is! Mama! No instant tap out this time around from Rogue. Not like the previous game. Spore Crawler is really the only form of detection right now. An Overseer is morphing. Mothership itself also has a lot more damage. We have a couple Infestors coming up. Okay. I mean, I feel like Rogue is cooking up something, though. So he's actually not going Corruptors this game. His plan is to take Neural Parasites, I guess, to the carriers? Like mass detection, Ultras to clear out all the ground units, Queens to transfuse whatever, and then maybe Neural Parasite to actually have Protoss units to kill these Skytos? Is that the plan? Well, I guess we'll have to find out. It would be kind of ironic if the best counter to the mothership is other flying Protoss units. Oh no. Miss Rally. Miss Rally. Nicely done by hero. Spots that mistake and immediately runs in. We have additional Infestors coming though. It's still a little while away though from being good here for the Zerg. Massive time warp. Keep in mind that time warp reduces attack speed as well by 50%. It's not just movement speed. Hero dancing on the edge of the creep. He knows that the queens can't follow. Queens can no longer transfuse off creep, and, well, they're obviously also very slow, meaning that the Ultras can't really be helped out. A couple of Stalkers here being a little too ambitious, though. That's like 10 Stalkers going down for free. Ay, ay, ay. Except for you. Everybody needs a messenger, although Brenda disagrees. Okay. So we have about a dozen Infestors. I think Rogue plans on doing mass Neural Parasite. I think that's his play. Microbial Shrouds? That's a misclick. Oracles deal splash damage, or spell damage rather, so they deal flat damage regardless. Microbial Shroud, look at it, it sticks to units. Ugh! Microbial Shroud sticking to units is actually kind of amazing. I think it should have been like that ever since they first came up with the ability, but... I think heroes should double down on Void Ray production in this sort of setup. Neural Parasites are too dangerous. Tempests are decent, but expensive. Carriers... Like, if the carriers switch sides... We have the Spore Crawlers coming up. If the carriers switch sides, they will actually kill the Protoss army. Does he know? Does he have detection? He's got a couple oracles here in the mix for revelations, I guess. Neural Parasites, though, could be coming in from the ground. He decides to recall. Big blink! Ooh. Big fungal, rather. Anyways, that fungal did slow down some of the units, and a lot of the Templar disappeared. I think Hero was way overextended from that spot. So Hero does have 3 observers. 2 of them are right over here. The third one's right over there. Okay. If you don't see those Infestors coming in, so Infestors can use their Neural Parasite while burrowed. If you don't see them coming in, you're in a world of trouble. So you can't really rely on just oracles. Yeah. I think the best counter to Protoss is Protoss. I think that's what Rogue wants to go for anyways. Try to just keep this army at bay. Keep it pinned back. He's going for a Greater Spire as well. At this point, Rogue is ahead in resources. He's got a good army. He's taken about 50% of the map. Same for Hero, though. Hero also is building up a nice bank. Hero already at +2 for the air units. Going double upgrades. We should definitely have a second Cybercore here upgrading. There's really no reason for... Oh my god, I'm gonna back up, sorry. There's no reason to not have a second Cybercore. Apparently there's a big engagement as soon as I looked away from the army, which is an absolute classic. Here we go. Keep in mind that Spore Crawlers now have less hit points. Here we go. Fungal. Neural Parasite? Okay. Queen gets activated, the Time Warp ability gets activated immediately. We have Neural Parasites, and All of that is available, but he isn't really finding an angle. Ultras are absolutely melting, although they did deal quite a bit of damage to the High Templar. Now the Neural Parasites are coming in. Microbial Shrouds are decent at all, but I think hero is just destroying his army. Wow. Yeah, that wasn't even close. I think hero lost like maybe 15 supply worth of units. He warped in a couple of Stalkers during all of that, but if anything, I'm starting to feel bad for the ladder heroes out there. I feel like if you're a Diamond League Zerg player and you're thinking about competing with the Protoss late game, good luck.